Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Every leader has a journey, and with the Leader Speak, we are trying to understand that journey and what are the hurdles they have faced and how they're trying to overcome that. Today, we have two special guests with us from Esec Forte. They are the two hands of Esec Forte, one from the business side, one from the technical side. And especially if I talk about Esec grown from startup to 6 cities to 100 plus people, and it's actually catering to cybersecurity and cyber forensics. They work with Fortune 100 companies to banks to telcos to defense. Thank you so much to both of you for joining me today. It's such a pleasure to have you and learn from both of you.
Thank you. Thank you, and pleasure to be here. Yep.
It's very nice to speak to you, and we look forward to it.
Thank you. So, how did you both started your journey? And I wouldn't want to call out Kunal's your name or Sachin's name, but I want to know from both of you that how did you start the journey for Esec Forte, and what are the things that came your way which you solved, or maybe something exciting that you want to share with me?
Wonderful. Like a lot of things. So Sachin started ESEC about
2011.
10 years back,
Yeah.
and he had just moved out of his roles with KPMG, Verizon, and a couple of other companies. I was on the other side working with Wipro, and I am the business, I am the sales, I am the business guy. He's the technology guy. Our actually the way we met was quite interesting. It was a very accidental, coming together of us. So I was running a company which was into cloud and Salesforce.com, etc., which was very very niche back then. We happened to meet through a friend, and we realized, I had a big handicap with respect to technology. I did not speak technology that well, and he, on the other hand, was great in technology, but he needed somebody who could understand the numbers, who could understand business, and who could derive sales. So one fine day, over a cup of coffee, we decided to merge our organizations. So we actually ESEC came out as a result of an M&A, which we did almost 9 years back.
Yep. Right.
And that's how we kind of started. And I think ever since it's been a roller coaster, and I when I speak to my friends or when we talk to our colleagues, what we've realized is entrepreneurship or starting a company anywhere in the world, it's like a roller coaster on a daily basis. You would have, wonderful days where you'd crack big deals, you do solid deliveries, and there would be shitty days, when you have escalations, you've got, trouble coming from all across. So there are a lot of exciting steps, but I think the way we started was probably one of the most interesting ways to get started, where we decided to do an M&A within 1 year of inception, and it was probably one of the better decisions we've ever taken. So.
Yep.
Yeah, kudos to that serendipity that yes, you both met and it came into the limelight. And I would say that
A lot can the punchline, which says that a lot can happen over coffee.
Yeah.
I think that became true with us.
yeah, yeah. And now when you both are working, I am sure, even though you have a business angle or a technical angle, there are some hurdles that come your way. And every organization has its own hurdles. Like, I wouldn't say that every journey is smooth. Like you said, some days are roller coasters and some days are smooth. So if you can share some roller coasters, like what are those roller coasters and how do you like fix them, mend them, or maybe try and like see the work through around it?
So I'd say that we've as so when I used to work with Wipro, which is a mammoth of an organization, what we realized when we started this was that you'd have to wear multiple hats. I mean, though I am most comfortable doing sales or business, and he's most comfortable doing technology, there are days when we had to look at finance, we had to look at HR, we had to look at legals, we had to look at litigations, operations, process development. It was like you're raising a child, right? And I'm sure every person who runs a startup or who's getting into an entrepreneurial role understands what we're talking about. I mean, there were days where I remember we closed a massive deal almost 6-7 years back where we had to operate in 20 different countries. Now, logistics, pure play organization of those logistics and operations was a nightmare. I mean, it was first time ever that we were interacting with, excise department, customs. Leave apart the technology delivery that he had to take care of. Our first few months were how to handle logistics. How do we get our consignments in these different countries? How do we, make them go live?
And speaking to bankers, getting the
Yes,
payments
yes.
done. Like we learned the terms like merchant trading and whatnot. I mean, for us, like since we come from a more like he comes from more from a sales background. I come from a technology background. I mean, learning the banking terms was a
Yeah.
kind of a difficult thing for us. But yeah, I mean, we learned it uh, like the way, and then we got through it.
Yeah. Thankfully, I think what we realized, and this is probably a feedback or a very humble advice to all colleagues and people who are getting into this, is get the right team, guys. I mean, you'd be tempted to save cost. You would be tempted to not spend on a finance person or on an ops person or an HR person. But believe me, it's something that we learned the hard way, and thankfully, we've been able to put together a team which is very very trustworthy. We trust them with blood, uh, and these are individuals who come with a lot of experience, and they take so much off your plate that you can try and focus on your key areas. I mean, we don't have to look into those banking terminologies or legals as much as we used to. Of course, there is some fragment which comes on our table, but a lot of it gets handled by these team members who take that load from us. So that's probably one good thing that we did, is to build up a very solid team.
Now, when you're building the team, and especially for startups, it's very, very important. Like you said, that find the right people. So, what are the qualities that you look for in a person who's actually joining a startup? Because it's very, very key area wherein if you don't have the right team, if you don't have the right people and the culture, it is not going to work out. And it, or maybe it'll work out, but it'll take a lot of time. So,
Yeah,
what
it'll be
kind of,
difficult.
yeah,
So I think two mantras we have is, one is the DNA. So
Yeah.
more than the functional capability that the individual has, it is about the DNA, which is extremely crucial. Second is, I think it's Sachin's mantra, is never do desperate hiring. So there would be days where we'd wait for months to get the right person, but I think that's what has helped us to have a very low attrition. I mean, we've had colleagues who've been there with us right from inception, and never let your core team go. So I think the majority time you should spend is building that core team, and once that is done, do not let this core team go. I mean, in fact, we got this advice from one of our big competitors, and he was kind enough to tell us this, that and he's of course much senior than us. He said, guys, never let your core team go. And we appreciate and we thank him, though we compete with him, but we and I think it's a beautiful advice that we got. So hiring in DNA is very important. He may be a 7 on 10 on his functional capabilities,
Yeah.
but if the DNA sinks and
A mindset frequency should meet. Once that mindset is meeting, the frequencies is meeting, then the working is all easy. I mean, we can cross the hurdles if we have the right frequency. Because without even speaking, he knows what I'm thinking, and he will take the next action what I want him to take.
Absolutely.
So that's where the frequency matters a lot. And I mean, right, Kunal said like desperation hiring. I'm really scared of desperation hiring, because sometimes we need people, but just to hire for the sake of, because we need someone, is really scary, because whether he will be able to deliver to what, because quality is what we think of is the most important thing for our customers. And to maintain the quality, we need to have the right skill set and the right person and the right mindset. So that's why, I mean, we take like, it's okay, we take a lot of time to hire, but we try to hire the right person.
yeah, totally agree with you that the attitude matters. You can
Absolutely.
actually upskill a person, but not, you cannot change someone's attitude towards work.
Absolutely, bang on.
Yeah. Yeah. So, out of all of this, and especially when you said it's about hiring the right people, but if you are teaching your mentee, like right now, I am trying to understand and I am trying to be like I'm a junior. So, what would be the three lessons or advices you would want to impart or share it with me based on the wonderful experience you had with all the ups and downs and all the zigzags? So, if you can share some advices with me.
We've never actually formalized it or put it on a piece of paper, but there are, three or four principles that we whenever we speak to. So we just finished our quarterly review where our sales team was here from all across the country, and what we were discussing with them, and we try to make it more structured, is there is something called as SIP, not the stock market, but so what we've told him, S is for sleep over it, I is your introspection, and P is your process. So we've been very, very strong advocates of this. I mean, there are days, like I said, where you get hammered from all over, and this is probably the worst day of your life. What we've realized is that it is very important to not make any decision, any promises on that day. What you have to do is you have to simply close your laptop, put your phone on a flight mode, go off, go sleep, wait for the next day. There are, and it's probably what we learned the hard way, that your next day is going to be better, or even if it is shittier than your this day, the third day would be better. So it is very important that you do not make a decision when you are at your low, when you're hammered, when you're desperate for survival. You do not make any desperate calls. Just sit there, let this day go by. You would have a better day, and take it as a learning. I mean, it is true when people say that failure is your best teacher, and I totally agree to that. I stands for introspection. So that's another thing that we tell our teams, that guys, don't compete yourself with this company or that person or that resource. It is important that you're doing better than what you did yesterday. So you always compete with the younger version of you, which is, I mean, that's your learning, right? I mean, you have so many attributes that if you say that the following guy did better than me on, let's say, a technology test, it's not fair, because you might have a different way of looking at it. You might be an academic screw up, but you might be doing phenomenally well in the field of business. I mean, I was an academic screw up. I was always in the bottom five. My colleagues or my batchmates still feel here, and thankfully we've done well. I think God's been kind. My batchmates would probably still feel here, hey, kuch to he's done some, jugaad, and he's done wherever. So it's just that you didn't have a knack for that thing. So don't compare yourself with others. Compare yourself with the younger version of you. And the last one is process. Always follow the process. Don't aim for just don't aim for the results. It is important you follow the process. There could be a failure at the end of it, but then the diligence with which you follow the process is more important. So sleep over it, introspection, and process. The SIP mode or SIPs is what we tell our colleagues and our team members.
Yep. And maybe from a tech side, I would I would add it like I mean, obviously, like so basically what I tell my team members is that you focus on what customer needs. Basically understand the requirement and then give them the solution. It is like sometimes what we do is we understand a solution from a historically way, and then we just start telling that particular solution. So that I tell my all my team members that no, don't do that. Understand, maybe his requirement could be slightly different, so hear him out and then tell him, and if any tweaking is required, do it, and then give him, because that's where you understand and you apply your brain and you give him the best. So that's another thing which I mean I try to tell my team members that this is how we can do. Simple.
Yeah, totally amazing. And one thing I have to tell you that there is this mantra that I learned in college when I remember that I was getting good marks, but then people used to compete. And then I went to ask my teacher that, oh, this person is saying that you should increase their marks, but I have written it this way. And she said specifically that always compete with yourself and you will be the happiest person on this earth. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's like, I think that stuck with me forever. And the wonderful advices that you gave, that especially around SIP and making sure that what exactly the customer wants, not what solution you want to give.
Yeah,
It,
absolutely.
yeah, it's incredible. Thank you so much to both of you for joining me today and sharing in the insights.
Yep, thank you.
Most welcome, Mama. It was very nice talking to you. And we hope we are able to give back to the community and
Yeah, and
maybe.
then one other thing, yeah, because Kunal rightly said that from a tech, especially from a technical perspective, whatever we have got from the community, because right from the inception, I remember, as you know, Null is one of the community which is there from since long, and we just started like it was in the second year or third year or second year of our inception, and I mean, we were pretty young, but we decided to support community because we have grown from that community and we wanted to give it back. Right from the second year, we started supporting Null as an initiative, not only from a conference perspective, but from a meet perspective. We used to tell our team members that please go join the community. Whatever you have learned, start giving it back also, because you have got from the community, and you should also give it back to them. And whatever you have learned, you should give them back in that form of training or something else. So that's what also we have been doing well, promoting.
Yeah, superbly said. And
Yeah,
I'm sure we all have learned a lot, and you giving back to the community is like so much useful and helpful for the community.
yep,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
yep.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you so much, Sachin and Kunal, for joining me today. It was wonderful speaking with you.
yeah, same.
Likewise, Vanna. Very nice talking
Thank
to you.
you.
Mhm.